When SHTF, when stuff hits the fan and you have to decide to bug in or bug out, are you ready to bug out? Do you have a plan to bug out? And most specifically, I'm talking about, do you have a plan of where to go, a place to go when you bug out? Joe coming at you, RX Healthy Habits. I always like to help people in areas of the health, and I think one area that a lot of people don't really think much about is disaster preparedness or emergency preparedness for scenarios can affect them. And one of the things that we've learned from our friends in the southeast United States is they have to bug out with hurricanes on an often basis. They have to bug out and get out of the way. And there's some scenarios that are going to require you to leave. And are you ready to leave? But more importantly, where are you going to go? And sometimes, if it's going to be prolonged, it's not just staying at a hotel. So we're going to go through and talk about that. And all this stuff's on my website. I'm only going to do a flyover, and I'm not an expert. I'm just saying that it's on my radar. I've been learning about how to bug in, and I'm getting some preparations there. I'm not a fanatic, I'm not over the top, but I'm learning that I need to have certain things to have a certain level of comfort and safety and hopefully protect my life during those times. And I'm going to start putting those in place to have something ready just in case. Now, here we go. When it comes to bugging out, here's some of the considerations. Number one, the distance and accessibility of getting to your bug out location. 1 to 3 hour drive should be about it to get away from danger. It's a lot more than that, then that might be more of a challenge. But 1 to 3 hours, you should have multiple routes planned out, and you should have fuel considerations. I mean, are you ready if you had to bug out to go 3 hours? Because believe it or not, it might be difficult to get fuel. But where you're going to, in 1 to 3 hours away, let's say, what type of water and resources do they have? When it comes to water, I'll tell you why. I live in the Southwest United States, so water is an issue. So when I go to bug out, I have to plan on that. Wherever I'm going has to have a source of water, which is a challenge for me. Now, in some parts of the country, it's not a challenge. What other type of resources do I have? Do I have materials for combustible, for burning, to make a fire? All that type comes into play. Is there going to be a food available in those areas that I can hunt, trap, etc.? And in many places that out here that I go to, that answer is no. So I have to find out when I go to pick one, that can it have a place where we can trap, especially when there's water that's flowing, fish, animals come to get water there. And does it have off-the-grid potential to really maybe set up maybe a little bit longer-term places? And that means I can have my solar panels there if I want to have some power generation for some basics that I could use. But in that location, does it have that potential to be off the grid? Security and concealment. This is a big one, because if you're going to go someplace and it's really close to a road or an urban center, it's not that far away, and everybody else is going to go there, you might have a challenge. Unless you develop a community plan with some other people and there's an organization or some type of group that you belong to that's got a plan to go to a certain area. But basically, you really want to try about getting away from main roads, and you want to develop some natural defenses wherever you go, so you can kind of keep an eye on the perimeter and secure your perimeter. Popularly dense, again, people that are in popular dense areas are going to go to the easiest ones that they think. You want to get away from some of those. Climate and natural disasters. You want to make sure wherever you're going, you're not going to places that's going to be less safe with flooding or something else. You can get some historical data about your area to see what some of the things that have been the most troublesome through the years. Some of the things have created some emergencies, so you know what to look for. My area is much different than yours. I'm in the Southwest United States. All areas of the country are going to have different challenges. And there's seasonal considerations in some parts of the country that maybe I'm a little bit less worried about here, because we have very intense hot summers, which are a problem. But the rest of the year, it's pretty much even. 50s, 60s, 30s is the worst it gets in the wintertime. So all those are considerations. So climate is going to be a big factor. Infrastructure and facilities, what you have to use. If you go to these bug out sites, is there any infrastructure facilities that can really be made into maybe a longer term solution for you to stay there? Because you got some infrastructure or structures already in place that can really help with sanitation, or can help with some other things. But existing structures for shelter, huge. Legal and financial aspects. Make sure if you're going someplace that there's not going to be a consideration that you broke some laws that down the road could be a problem, especially if you're going to be there a while. But also think about the fact that maybe you can get some group ownership options there, so that something goes wrong, you guys can be there for a prolonged period of time. You got to be very careful. If you're going someplace you think you're going to settle in, and it's somebody's private property, especially when they're in a scenario they don't want you there, that could be a real problem. So you just can't assume you can go anywhere with immunity, and nobody's going to say, hey, wait, you're on private property, this is war. You don't need that. Okay, so you have to make sure you really plan to stay out of harm's way in that respect. So hope those tips help. And as always, go to our website. All the information is there. There's a lot of details you can click on, get more references. You can buy from some of the companies that we promote, that we get discount promo codes for if you go through RX Healthy Habits. Just think about getting some preparation plans in place, because God forbid, when stuff hits a fan, you want to be ready and you don't want to be blindsided. So, till then, till next video on this topic, God bless, stay safe.